Welcome, everybody, to today's installment of Home Solutions. You're listening as we are here live in the Mix 1041 studio. Dennis Purvis with you, as always, from your sponsor, Pro 93 Home Solutions. Folks, we are glad you are listening today, no matter what you're doing today. It's a kind of a rainy couple days, rainy weekend. Happy Halloween to everybody out there. But we've got a bright show for you today. You don't even know the pun I'm trying to execute right now. But before we get into that, just want to thank everybody, no matter how you're listening today. Maybe you're out driving around trying to get some last minute stuff, costume ideas, or you're out doing what I do on the weekends, trying to cross things off my honey-do list. And maybe you're headed out to one of the local stores today or local businesses to do some yard or home maintenance. And if any of that ever gets too much, too big for you, make sure you give us a call at Pro 93 Home Solutions, your locally owned, veteran-owned general contractor, all things residential. We can handle everything from remodeling, small repairs, small remodels, to additions, to new construction. Whatever it is, we want to be your partner. We want to work with you and your budget to get the home that you want. You can always give us a call at 458-4135, or you can see us online, pro93homesolutions.com. And don't forget about our clean team. If you want to get your home or office cleaned, Wendy and our clean team will come out, give you a free estimate, and be able to come out and take care. We are a green clean team. Remember, we don't use any harmful ammonias or chlorine products. Everything we have is all natural, but is going to disinfect and make your home smell beautiful and not like it just got scoured with Clorox. Once again, give us a call, 458-4135, or pro93homesolutions.com. Now that I've got the shameless plug out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, have I got a show today, something we haven't talked about in a couple years here on the show, but I'm excited to have our guest with us today, live here in the studio with me, Mr. George Holden from Lowe's Lighting Gallery. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. It's good to be here this morning. I'm excited.
I appreciate you for being here.
I can't believe you said all that in one breath.
Listen, man, it's it takes a little bit of training.
Does it?
Yeah. My mom always said I was full of hot air. I've turned it into something to make money.
You made it productive. That's great.
Yeah, you got to work with the tools God gave you.
Yeah.
But now, before we get started, I'm not talking about Lowe's, the box store, the big blue building over here on Paul Huff. I'm talking about Lowe's Lighting Gallery out on North Lee Highway. And just to get the confusion out of the way, where are you guys located out there?
We're at 5585 North Lee Highway. We're between Paul Huff Parkway and like you're going to Charleston on Highway 11. We're there on the left-hand side. We've been there now about 18 years. We have about 5,000 square feet there, about 3,500 in showroom space. And it's just a great location, works out great. And
if you drive by at night, you can't miss it.
That's right. You can't miss it.
I don't want to know every time I drive by there, as a business owner, all I think is, I wonder what his electric bill is every month.
Well, I have to tell you, when we first opened the showroom, everything was incandescent bulbs, halogens, and fluorescents. And so our electric bill actually now is, we were looking at it actually a couple months ago, we're probably about half of what it used to be. And we probably have at least 30% more light fixtures in the showroom now. Used to, it get so hot in the summertime. I mean, our air conditioning units couldn't even keep up. I mean, you have that many incandescent bulbs burning.
I didn't think about that.
Oh God! I mean, we could have them running wide open. It'd still be 80 degrees in the showroom. You
went to work that day and went home 3 pounds lighter, didn't you?
Oh God, it was hot. I mean, it got hot. But now, it doesn't get hot like that anymore. The air conditions don't work like that. The same thing in your home. Think about that in your home. One of the things that creates heat in your home is the bulbs, the lamps that are burning in your home, your recess cans, all that stuff. If you're still using incandescent, think about that. That's a 60-watt bulb. When you say wattage, you're talking about heat.
Yeah.
And that heat it's like little heaters burning in your home.
All over.
So when you convert to LED, one thing people don't take into account is how much less heat you're producing in the home and your air conditioning units not having to cool that. And so that's where a lot of savings comes from.
And listen, I was going to jump into this later, but you've already broke the seal, so let's talk. So, the shift to LED a few years ago, we bring this up to people, and I'm because people tend to think, well, I'm just not using as much electricity. That's where the energy efficiency comes from. But you bring up a great point. there's way more that goes into that.
A lot.
And there's a reason why you can unscrew an LED bulb right after you turn it off.
Absolutely, because it's not hot.
It's not hot. Talk a little bit about how that changed. How that changed the industry. You guys have been in this business almost 20 years, right?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
How did that switch? Because it seems like it just happened. I knew it was coming, but it just sort of, once the technology and the manufacturing was there, how did that change your business?
Wow. It changed the lighting industry dramatically. I mean, it really did. Because what really happened in the industry was the federal government came in and said, hey, we got to start saving energy. And we had to find ways to do that. So they pushed the lighting industry to go to fluorescent automatic, because fluorescent was the most energy efficient product that was available at the time. The problem with fluorescent lighting, it is the worst of the lighting, of all the lighting sources. It's really the worst when it comes to being able to control it, dim it, keep it under control, adjust the color temperature of it, the age of the bulb. There are some environmental issues with fluorescent. It's not a huge problem, but it is an issue for, in some areas, the environmental issue with fluorescent. And so it was a horrible source of light because of glare factor for us. I mean, there's just a number of things that's not good. So what happened was it really opened the door for LED manufacturers. LED's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been in televisions. It's been in other products for many, many, many years. But they never really looked at it as a source of light because of the cost of it, the cost of what it took to manufacture it. So when that opened that door, and for fluorescent being a horrible source, LED manufacturers seen an opportunity. And so that's what happened. It quickly started to advance. The first initial stuff that came out was poor quality. To make it cheap enough to go into residential application, it was poor. So a lot of people who bought into LED right off the bat bought product that was... they had issues with it. They had controlling issues. I mean, they just ran into, it was still expensive. I remember when the first retrofit LED recessed cam product came out, that thing was $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Now they're, I don't know, $12, $15 a piece. Yeah.
I just bought a box and they were $12 a piece.
Yeah, right. So, and you were limited to the color temperature you get. And so one of the things we try to do for our customers when they come in the showroom, and I do it almost every day now, is I train them and let them understand how LED works and how you can pick your color temperature now. Well, when it first came out, you were limited. They had 2,700, 3,000 color temperature. Well, that was really your limit. You couldn't do, they had 4,000. I'm sorry, 4,000, which was was what goes in commercial buildings most of the time, 5,000. And so now I have a display in our showroom. You can actually come in and we show people. We teach them, and I'm so amazed people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all this. Because people just used to run down and grab light bulbs off the shelf and go home. Well, you can't do that anymore. If you're doing that, you're going to have some crazy mix of stuff at your house. People are going to walk in your house and think, oh my gosh, this house looks horrible. Yeah. Because they may have 4,000, 3,000, 2,700 all in the same room. Restaurants are the worst about it. Yep. They'll send somebody run down and get me some light bulbs. We don't have light bulbs in the restaurant. They'll run and grab something off the shelf, not pay attention to what they're buying because they think it's all the same. Go in there and screw. I was in a restaurant the other day, and I'm not even going to name the restaurant, but they had 5,000 K bulb over the table. Me and my wife couldn't even look up at each other because the light was in our eyes, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. And our food come out, and you can't tell how it's cooked because it's blue, because 5,000's got a lot of blue in it. And that's how they make LEDs. It's called batching. So what they do is, LED is not naturally white. A lot of people don't know that. It's not naturally a white color. Because LEDs are colors. So you have to go back to your elementary years when you remember when the teacher taught you how to mix reds and blues and greens and get
yellow and blue makes green. Yep.
That's it. Yep. You see what I'm saying? So
which is why they were I think one of the biggest practical applications for them was in screens,
That's right.
screens, monitors,
signs, stuff where you're looking for color.
Yeah.
That's right. LED's easy
a
color.
Super specific.
Right. So it's called batching. That's how they make LED. The color that you see is they batch the LED. The diodes, and then the LEDs, that's how they get their color temperature. Yeah. So it was hard to do. So it took a while to get that worked out. And the first really company that jumped into that industry company called Cree, they've been sold since then. They're not the leader in it now, but initially they were the leader in that business. And so now LEDs advancing so quickly. I tell people, I said, if you bought LEDs in some cases, even a year ago or 2 years ago, the product you're getting today is not the same.
Yeah.
Because it's advanced so much.
And I know there's a lot of people that got turned off by that first kind of run.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're kind of
because they
showing
thought
them
all
away.
you could get is that 4,000 or 5,000. I can't stand to look at it. It burns my eyes or hurts me, gives me headaches.
And you always know when a trend is taken over because we were talking right before we went on. Now there's that retro styling that's coming in, where you buy LEDs to make it look like the way
right.
they've got the old incandescent bulbs. And but I can promise you, it's not. It's totally different. And I don't think people realize, and that's one thing I really like about your guys' website, is that you break down lighting by the room.
Yeah.
Because the lighting I'm going to want in my office
it's not going to be the same.
Isn't going to be what I want in my bedroom.
Right.
Isn't going to be what you need in your bathroom, right?
Sure.
There are certain things that go into that. And I can tell you, full disclosure, when I built my home years ago, we went to Lowe's. We had a budget from our builder, and I can tell you, building a house for a lot of folks, I understand, is overwhelming. You've never made more decisions in your life that you got to live with, right? So it was, and I did the typical thing with my wife of whatever that's not a hill I'm going to die on, whatever you want, right? I picked one paint color and I painted a half bathrooms like Daredevil red. She never asked me for another paint color.
I bet.
So it worked out great. She used to joke she couldn't even go to the bathroom in there. She felt like she was going into the fifth circle of hell. And I was like, but it worked. I never have to pick another paint color.
Ever.
But I kind of got into the light things, and your guys made it so easy to work that we knew what our budget was. We knew, and the way you guys, I think the thing that you guys provide, I think that really sets you apart, and just the customers that we send you guys now, never had a complaint about the way they were treated. Always, you guys went above and beyond to find what they were looking for. If it wasn't something on display, the knowledge of, well, I've got this, you know what, I think I know what you're looking for. Let me look it up in this catalog over here. And being able to get that stuff in, and talk about the Lowe story about, I just really feel like customers you guys recognize that they're the core, none of us exist without customers, but providing that service that they don't get other places, and they can't just go grab a lamp off a shelf. It's one thing to have a display, but to have somebody knowledgeable that can bring these kind of concerns of, have you thought about what color temperature you want? Have you thought about what kind of lighting you want? Let's just, and we got a few minutes here before we take a break. Tell a little bit about the Lowe story. How'd you guys get to where you are right now?
Well, from day one, it's been customer service, and that's an easy word to throw around, but and you hear people say it all the time. I guess I can tell you just a quick story. I had a customer years ago. The lady came to me. She was an older woman, great lady. She had a chandelier in her home many years ago that was called Delft. And so what that is a product from Holland. They're hand-painted chandeliers from Holland. And at the time, there was only one distributor left in the country that you could get them from. And so she showed me a picture of the piece. She said, George, you probably don't know what this is. Well, I've been in the industry long enough where I've been around a little bit, sad to say. But anyway.
You're 24, 25 now?
Yeah, that's it.
Started when you were like 3.
That's it, from birth.
I got you. Yeah.
So anyway, she showed me the chandelier, and I told her what it was. And she said, oh, gosh, you're right. I've not found anybody that knew what that even was. And I said, well, I do. I know who makes it. I said, I know who distributes it in the United States. And so I contacted them. They didn't make that particular color anymore. They didn't offer that color. And so she told me, she said, well, I lived in this certain house in Cleveland. It was here in Cleveland. And she said, George, they hung above my island, and I really want that chandelier. I said, well, have you contacted them? And I said, and she said, no. I said, well, maybe they'd like to sell them to you. So I happen to know them. So I called the home, and the guy was like, oh my gosh, no, we took them down years ago and sold them a yard sale. Oh. And she said, but you're not going to believe this. I know the lady that bought them. She gave me the lady's name. I looked up her name, did a little research, found her phone number, called her. She says, oh my gosh, I forgot all about them things. She said, I give them to my sister. I think she may still have them. I don't know what she did with them. So I called her sister. And her sister says, well, you're not going to believe this. I think they're up in the attic. And she said, my husband put them up there, and I forgot all about them. She said, let me find out. He may have thrown them away. I don't know. She called me back in a day or two. She said, you're not going to believe it. They're up in the attic. And I said, well, how much do you want for them? And she said, well, listen, I pulled them out, looked at one of them. She said, they're filthy. She said, they're in bad shape. I said, hey, I got somebody that may be interested. So she gave me a price on them. I called the lady and said, hey, she's going to sell them. She said, it may be in bad shape. She said, George, just go ahead and buy them. So I bought them, took them, cleaned them, rewired the fixture, and they were hanging in her house to this day over her island. And so, I could have just simply told her, no, you can't get them no more and been done. But, I find it a challenge for me. That's how I learn.
Listen, I can absolutely... So when somebody tells me they want something that they can't find somewhere, there's a little bit of that investigative reporter.
Right. Me too. It's in me.
I got Google, or Google as they call it in France. But give me that kind of to be able to do that for one customer. Mm-hmm. And folks, we're up against it. We're going to take our first break. We come back. We're going to hear more about what George and the folks over at Lowe's Lighting Gallery can do for you. But if you take anything from this right now, it's if you heard that story, you listen to what he did for just one customer. Imagine what he could do for you in your home. And the question is, why aren't you giving them a call? Why haven't you went by and checked them out? George, one more time, how do they get a hold of you? What's your best phone number?
Hey, call us. You can call us at the showroom at 476-9332. Or come see us at 5585 North Lee Highway. And our website is www.loweslightinggallery.com.
Listen, stay right there. Don't turn that dial. We'll be back here in just a little bit. You're listening to Home Solutions right here on Mix 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz. Are you tired of going to YouTube or Google for answers to your home improvement questions? Maybe you have more projects than you have time. No matter where you are in the process, Pro 93 Home Solutions is ready to serve you. Pro 93 is a local, veteran-owned company offering residential and commercial remodeling, cleaning, and security. Contact us today at 458-4135 or online at pro93homesolutions.com. Let the pros at Pro 93 find the solution for your home or business. That's 458-4135. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for listening. Whether you're in your car right now listening to us on the radio the old school way, or maybe you're listening on the new Mix 104.1 app, which if you haven't downloaded, you need to. Get all your local news, plus stream. No matter where you are, you can stream all the stations here in the Mix 104.1 family. But listen, for everybody in Facebook, hi. We're waving to you. Me and George are here in the studio. Hope you're having a great Saturday, and we're going to dive right back in. We got a lot to talk about. So we talked about LEDs. We talked about the different choices now. We've talked about a little bit about the Lowe's commitment to cover customer service that you guys have. But talk a little bit about what's the story behind Lowe's. How did you guys become the owners? What's your guys' story?
Well, Lowe's actually comes from the founder's name. That's where it comes from. His name was Roy Lowe. He started this company back in the 80s. He had a partner named Mr. E.O. McMahon. Mr. Lowe passed away. Mr. McMahon bought the business from his wife, his half. Mr. McMahon got to an age of retirement, wanted to retire, and so they were a cabinet company, a custom cabinet company here in Cleveland. They built custom cabinets for years. They really only dealt with general contractors. They didn't really people off the street. It was rare. They dealt with people like that. They were basically focused on general contractors' business. And so me and my partner, Patrick, I come from the lighting side of it. I ran a big showroom in Charleston, South Carolina called Charleston Lighting Interiors. Beautiful showroom, 10,000 square feet. I mean, they had galleries, and it was a really nice place. And so I'm from Cleveland. Me and my wife are both from here. I always wanted to come back here and do business here and raise our children here, which we did or have. And so we came together, and he said, hey, my father wants to sell this business to us. And he said, why don't we do cabinets, and you come in, we'll bring the lights, we'll partner, we'll open a showroom, offer products to everybody, not just contractors, but everyone. And so that's what we did. We brought it together. 2004, we opened, November 2004, we opened the showroom up on North Lee Highway, and we opened a lighting gallery as well as a cabinet showroom. We've since sold the cabinet division off. We made a decision about, I guess, almost 5 years ago to say, hey, lighting had kept growing. Our lighting business kept growing because we now do commercial lighting. We do landscape lighting. we almost do anything that can be done in lighting. The only thing we probably don't do in lighting is theatrical stuff. We don't do theatrical lighting for stages and that kind of stuff. That's not our business. But if it has to do with warehouse lighting, parking lot lighting, again, landscape has become a huge part of our business. We probably have, at any given time, we probably have 3 or 4 yards we're doing landscape lighting in.
And that's one thing that I was honestly, I was surprised when I was looking through the website. Sheree, my office manager, was telling me, she said, they not only have it, but you guys can offer maintenance contracts for those.
We do. We now actually have our own install crew, so we install the product as well. We don't sub that out to somebody else, and so it's our people. We also do maintenance contracts for people, so we'll come and service your landscape lighting, clean it, fix it, repair it, replace bulbs.
I'm assuming if there a lot of that may be solar, so you got photocells or dimmers, stuff like that.
No, there's not. We don't do anything solar. That's not our industry. The problem with solar products is they don't hold up for a long period of time.
Gotcha.
Anybody that's had any knows you that first year you get a pretty good, okay lighting, and after that it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Deteriorates.
It's plastic. It comes apart. Most of that stuff. There's nobody making hardy, well-made solar products, and so I don't deal with that. I don't like problems, so let me say this: I don't like problems with my product.
Do you guys deal with outside, like motion censored lighting that pops on for security lighting, that kind of stuff?
We do some of that. Yep.
Even trying to light up a backyard, certain things like that. Whatever. It sounds to me like pretty much if it's in the home, you guys can handle
or commercial. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Offices, I'm in doctor, you go in doctor's offices and stuff here in Cleveland. I'm just amazed how doctors have not replaced a lot of those fluorescent fixtures that are in these places. I mean, the light, I was in a doctor's office the other day and I thought, my gosh, this doctor's going to come in and look at me and he's going to have to go get a flashlight. I said, because the light is so horrible in here.
I can't stand the old bulbs, like the flickering. I can't unsee it.
Strobing.
Yes, I can't unsee it, and it drives me nuts.
And, and you know what? It affects your health. A lot of people don't. I mean, I had a customer the other day, she had headaches, and she works in an office. And it's the fluorescent lighting. People didn't know that fluorescent constantly strobes, even when you can't see it with with your regular, with your eyes.
My sister was having issues with migraines. They ran through the gamut of testing, all the different stuff, even the neurological. She changed the lights to LED in her office, and boom, gone. Because she spent sometimes 10, 11 hours a day. She's a nurse. And she was spinning it all under these lights. That's right. They swapped the lights out. It was like
amazing difference.
Night and day.
Day.
People don't realize that how much. And I think the other thing that when you talked earlier about color temperature, is lighting affects our moods.
Sleeping patterns. A lot of people do not realize. Actually, I just took a course at UT. Had the importance of how light affects your sleeping, how it affects, if you have a blue light, a lot of people don't know this, if you have a blue light of any kind, even on your VCR, or, that dated me, didn't it? And so on
your Betamax.
I know, I just like, boy, that really dated me right there. But on your television or anything, is there a blue light? If that light is in your bedroom, even though it's so small, it will affect your sleep. And it's proven fact.
Listen, I want to tell my wife that, because I am one of those, darkness.
Yes.
I like darkness.
Yes.
And if it's on,
even with your eyes closed, it will affect you in the room. It'll affect your time.
What do they call it? Your circadian rhythm?
That's exactly. That's right.
And we spend so much time with our faces plastered in our phones or our devices these days. People wonder why they have so much trouble trying to fall asleep. We're looking at screens and these lights right up until the minute we decide to shut our eyes and go to sleep. And we need to think about that when you're folks. So we try every week to give a tip for the day. So for our folks that are out there that are looking to maybe not do a full remodel, but kind of spruce up the lighting in their home, what's a tip that you think every homeowner should think about? We've talked about LEDs. I think it's a given, the switch to LED is the thing. But what are the things when they're looking from room to room that you try to make sure people understand? Because I know a lot of your job, especially now with LEDs and the options, is education. What are some of the things that you think people need to think about the most when they're deciding about lighting in their home?
Well, the first thing I ask the customer is, what are you doing in this room? When we talk room to room, the first question is, what are you doing in this room? I mean, if this is a bedroom and the only time you spend in this bedroom is at night when you're asleep, let's make sure the lighting is correct for sleeping.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you get up in the morning, you should have bright lighting in the morning. Okay. So in the morning, you should have bright, because that wakes your body up. But at night, the lighting lamps, that's the reason lamps are so important in the home, is because at night you should be using lamp light, not overhead light. Because before you go to bed, a lot of people don't realize that.
I never knew that.
That's right. Because what happens with lamp lighting, because it's a softer, warm light, because of the shade, it tells your body that it's time to go to sleep, basically. So if you have overhead bright lighting like we have in this room right here, this is not the light you want an hour before you go to bed. Because your body's not being told it's time to shut down and go to rest.
You're giving it stuff.
That's the reason that warm under cabinet lighting, even in your kitchen, turn the overhead off, have under cabinet lighting. Under cabinet lighting is probably one of the most untold stories in the lighting industry, because it is perfect task lighting.
Yes.
And at night, you can turn the overhead off. And again, it gives you that warmth feel and gets you prepared to rest. And you don't think it'll make a difference. It will make a difference in your life.
You brought up lamps, and I know we had talked a little beforehand that, lamps kind of went, they got a little passé a few years ago.
Sure.
But you said, one of the things you said to me off air was, we're back in the lamp business.
Listen, we've probably we probably have 200 or 300 lamps on the floor right now.
Wow.
In our showroom. Yeah, it's packed. And the reason we did it, we decided not to, we dabbled back in it a little bit, and we said, do we want to do this or not? And I said, hey, let's just pull the trigger and do it. And so we offer a huge selection now of lamps, mirrors too. We're doing mirrors.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we've got a really nice selection of mirrors. But the lamps, I'm very excited about. I mean, we have some great brands, high quality, great price points. Stylecraft is one of the brands that we brought in. It's a great price point, but great price point, but a good quality lamp. We're also, pardon me. One of the things we offer too is a service, and we didn't mention it. I don't even think it's on your list. Is we also maintenance those lamps.
And that was what I was going to ask. Parts, bulbs, stuff.
Yep. We have a guy that's in our warehouse. He just actually redid a Tiffany for a lady. Just finished it for.
Holy cow!
We've repairing lamps, putting new sockets on them. We don't sell shades separately. We have a lot of people in this area asking about shades. That may be something we do in the future. Right now, I'm a little tight for room to do a good selection of shades, but we do repair work on lamps and stuff, and that's something. Basically, people have old lamps. Some of those old lamps are worth a lot of money because they're American made. A lot of those American made lamps, they're valuable lamps. They're high quality. You
see them
lamps
every week on Antique Roadshow.
Sure,
people
absolutely.
Are bringing. And the other thing is, I've got a couple lamps in my house, and I'm not a lighting guy. I don't put a lot of thought into it. The most I've ever thought about it is when I built the house, but. Some of those are family heirlooms. There's stuff that have been passed down from our grandparents and great grandparents, and being able to make sure that they can stay in working order. I didn't even know you guys offered that, so I just learned something today.
We replace sockets all the time for people now and rewire them in some cases if needed. Put new plugs on them, that type of stuff. So,
and you guys do free consults up into a certain area, right? If you got and even
we cover about a 50-mile radius.
So if you're listening, if you're on the radio right now, listening to us right now, folks, you need to give them a call, because if you're listening in our listeners area here, you're in their market. So give us a call. How do they get a hold of you guys one more time before we get out of here?
Listen, you can call us at 423-476-9332. We're Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. We're at 5585 North Lee Highway. If you're not familiar with Cleveland, that's Highway 11 north to Charleston or Athens if you're headed north. And we're on the left-hand side there on the road in a plaza there. Lowe's Lighting Gallery. You can see us at www.loweslightinggallery.com. Call us. We do work after hours when we do make appointments after hours, and we do work by appointment after hours, and even Saturdays in some cases if people need, they can't meet any other time. So we do make other arrangements for people who work. Listen, we work, so we know sometimes you got to do that. And so that's just part of our business.
So if you're listening, folks, and you're thinking about that, Doesn't cost you anything to drive over there. Check out this huge showroom they have with all the selections, all the choices, and feel good that you don't have to be overwhelmed because you're going to have knowledgeable folks that care about customer service, that care about getting the right product into your home. As a local business, you're just like us. It's only as good as our last sale, right?
That's right.
And we need happy customers.
We do.
And so listen, George, thank you so much for being here. This has flown by. I've learned a lot. I hope our listeners have learned a lot. And we got to get you back on here soon.
Hey, I'd love to. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun.
Man, listen, they do so much. We didn't even get to it. We're going to have to do another show soon, folks, because we didn't get to half of what they do. But give Lowe's Lighting Gallery a call. And listen, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You've been listening to Home Solutions. And remember, take care of your family. Take care of your neighbor. Love one another. We're in this thing together. We'll see you guys soon. See you next week. You've been listening to Home Solutions right here on 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz.